Imagine waking up tomorrow morning, and every ocean on Earth is gone. The Pacific, the Atlantic, the Indian Ocean, every sea connected to them, gone. Where there were once waves stretching to the horizon, enormous empty basins now descend miles below the continents. At first, it might seem like the greatest archaeological discovery in history. Shipwrecks that haven't seen daylight for centuries would suddenly be exposed. Lost cargo, sunken cities, underwater mountains, and enormous trenches deeper than anything you've ever seen on land. But we'd have very little time to explore them. Because losing the oceans wouldn't simply change our coastlines, it would begin changing the entire planet. The oceans cover more than 70% of Earth's surface, and all that water plays an enormous role in controlling Earth's temperature. During the day, oceans absorb heat. Later, they slowly release it. Ocean currents carry heat around the planet, helping regulate temperatures thousands of miles away. Without them, Earth's climate would become far more extreme. Some regions would become brutally hot. Others could become bitterly cold. But then we'd face an even bigger problem: rain. Most of the water entering Earth's atmosphere comes from evaporation, much of it from the oceans. Sunlight heats the ocean surface. Water evaporates. Clouds form. Eventually, that water falls back to Earth as rain or snow. Remove the oceans, and you've just broken a huge part of Earth's water cycle. There would still be lakes, rivers, groundwater, ice, and some moisture in the atmosphere. But without the oceans constantly replenishing atmospheric water, rainfall patterns would change dramatically. Fresh water would become increasingly precious. Agriculture would suffer. Rivers and lakes would begin shrinking as water evaporated without being replenished normally. And eventually, enormous regions could become much drier. Then there's the atmosphere itself. You may have heard that forests are the lungs of the planet. They're extremely important. But much of Earth's oxygen production also comes from microscopic organisms in the ocean called phytoplankton. Through photosynthesis, these tiny organisms produce a significant share of the oxygen generated on Earth. If the oceans disappeared, so would the marine ecosystems that support them. That wouldn't mean we'd suddenly run out of oxygen tomorrow. Earth's atmosphere already contains an enormous reservoir of oxygen, but one of the planet's major oxygen-producing systems would be gone. And the destruction of marine life would be almost unimaginable. Fish, whales, coral reefs, sharks, plankton, entire ecosystems would vanish along with the water. Human civilization would feel the loss almost immediately. Fishing industries would disappear. Major ports would become useless. Cargo ships would be stranded on the newly exposed ocean floor. Global shipping routes that carry enormous amounts of food, fuel, and manufactured goods would vanish overnight. Coastal cities like New York, Los Angeles, Tokyo, and Sydney would suddenly find themselves overlooking gigantic empty basins instead of water. And then we'd discover something extraordinary. The ocean floor isn't flat. It contains enormous mountain ranges, volcanoes, canyons, and trenches. The Mariana Trench reaches nearly 7 miles below sea level. Imagine standing at its edge and looking down into a canyon deeper than Mount Everest is tall. For a brief moment, humanity would have access to landscapes we've barely explored. But those landscapes would exist on a planet rapidly becoming much harder to live on. The oceans don't simply fill the empty spaces between continents. They regulate our climate, drive the water cycle, support enormous ecosystems, produce food, move heat around the globe, and help make Earth the world we recognize. Without them, Earth wouldn't just be a drier planet. Over time, it could become a completely different planet. So the next time you're standing on a beach, looking across what seems like an endless stretch of water, remember this: you're not just looking at an ocean, you're looking at one of the systems helping keep our entire world alive. This is the Why Vault, where ordinary questions lead to extraordinary answers.